What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Phaithful Phanatics Show. We are live here on a Tuesday afternoon. I'm one half of your host, Dylan Davis. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. The Flyers have done it. They have punched their ticket back to the Stanley Cup playoffs for the first time in 6 years, albeit a COVID year when they won the round robin and were the Eastern Conference's #1 overall seed in that little tournament before the summer had started. It's been 8 years since 2018 that fans, a sold-out Xfinity Mobile Arena, will experience Flyers playoff hockey, and the Pittsburgh Penguins will be coming to town after 2 up in Pittsburgh this weekend, most likely. So we're going to be talking a lot of Flyers to start the show, man. Yeah. And just the excitement of having playoff hockey back. The Sixers also getting into their postseason activity. Tomorrow night, they host the Orlando Magic for the 7 seed in the play-in tournament. The Boston Celtics await whoever wins this game. The Sixers lose. They play the winner of the Hornets Heat game, which takes place tonight. The #1 overall seed Detroit Pistons await the winner of that matchup if it's go for a second game for the Sixers. The Phillies' latest stretch offense goes berserk yesterday, and Howie Roseman earlier on this afternoon says AJ's an Eagle. So we got a lot to talk about, man. It's going to be a fun show, a mostly positive show, a little bit of a confusing show, but albeit we are back. If you guys want to give us a follow, you can find us on Twitter at DSM_media. And then if you want to be interactive throughout today's live stream or any one of our shows, make sure to check out the YouTube link in our bio. It'll take you, the link tree will take you directly to all 3 pages we have, but make sure to hit the subscribe button, share it with your friends, family, any other Philly sports fans that you may know that will enjoy the content. My man, happy Tuesday. And what is going on?
Happy Tuesday, my brother. Thank you for getting us started there. Appreciate you. Feeling great. Feeling great, especially compared to the last few weeks. I would say before this past week when we kind of got the hype of the Flyers really starting to pick up and really getting close to locking in a playoff spot. But, I tried to put my optimistic cap on today and come on the show with some optimism and with just some pure fan excitement. Take my analyst cap off for a little bit today, right? As far as like looking at stats and odds and different things like that, and just enjoying being a Philadelphia fan at the base of it, man. And I think that starts with the Flyers today, obviously locking in a playoff spot. You mentioned all the details regarding that to start the show. The first time since 2018, right? Like it's been a long while. 2018 in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Right. Not COVID, not empty stadiums and whatnot, but a filled arena, a filled Xfinity Center in Philadelphia for playoff hockey is more than exciting, man. And then you throw in the other stuff with the Sixers playing in the play in and getting ready for hopefully making the playoffs. I think they'll make the playoffs. And you just go from there. I get it. Celtics, Pistons, not great, right? Not great odds. Once again, taking that analyst cap off, just be happy to be back in the postseason. The Sixers did not make the postseason last year. So just getting some extra basketball, getting to see VJ Edgecombe for even if it's just 2 more weeks, it's something to enjoy. It's something to entertain me. And
absolutely, man. Absolutely, because we've dealt with this before. I think in a weird way, we have been through so much pain and dealt with so much disappointment our entire lives as Philly fans, but realistically recently, right? But in the same on the flip side, we've been really spoiled. And what I mean by that is like, dude, we in the early 2010s, in the mid 2010s, there were Eagle playoff teams that, I mean, going into any of those games, going into a divisional round game, a wild card round, you just have the fan cap on where you just are happy to be there, but think your team has a chance, even if they realistically don't. You think your team has a chance. Over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years of Philadelphia sports, man, all of our teams, for the most part, right? The Phillies over the last 4 years, the Sixers in the Embiid era, all of the Eagles teams with 3 Super Bowl appearances in the mix. We've all had like hardcore championship level not just experience, but expectations. And
Yeah.
so now with the Sixers and the Embiid injury, the Flyers being a young, overachieving team that really aren't supposed to be at this point in the rebuild process yet, you're just A, happy to be there, but B, think on every single night that there's a playoff game. It's another game. It's a chance to take a lead in the series. It's a chance to advance. So it's going to be different than the last couple of playoff runs we've had across this city.
Okay, that's a great point.
And I think that can make it a little bit more fun. Like, especially doing the podcast, it gets very business-like, right? Especially for teams that have the expectations of World Series or bust or Super Bowl or bust. And the Phillies, like, it almost, I don't want to say it's not enjoyable. You get fired up for the games, but it becomes like you're just so ready for them to let you down because you just want to yell at them because you've dealt with this before and we should be better than this. And 95% of other fan bases would just feel the joy and think their team has a chance. And I think that's what this young Flyers team can do. And I think that's what a team like the Sixers without Embiid can attempt to do.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I think just throwing in the fact that you mentioned it, the Phillies, the Eagles, they're going to carry heavy ass expectations going into their respective postseasons. So let's just enjoy this low expectation situation, not necessarily high stakes. I think there are things that we can look for in each of these situations. The Flyers series coming up against the Penguins. You look at the Sixers. Hopefully they make the playoffs, whether it's 7 or 8 seed, play in the playoffs in a 7-game series, however long that goes. And you get the experience for VJ and those young guys like Barlow and some of these guys that are going to be here the next few years. They just got to find their place next to Embiid and Maxey and so on, so forth. So I think it's just a great point. It's a good level set here. We're not asking for championships, right? Like I've tried to put myself from a basketball perspective. I've tried to put myself in like that Charlotte Hornets mindset, right? A Hornets fan would be fucking ecstatic to see the Hornets make the playoffs at the A seed, regardless of who they play or when they get eliminated, right? And it's just so you can get that experience. So let's get the duo of Max.
And I'm sure there's going to be people that hear that and have the response of, well, we're not in the Hornets boat. We have this payroll. We have 3 max contract players. We have these. And I get all that, but we're just saying what we're trying to explain here is when you head into this postseason without Joel, those serious win it all type of emotions kind of exit the conversation. And now it's, you might get a series against the Boston Celtics. You win tomorrow night, you're playing the Boston Celtics. And what better way to fire the city up than a Sixers Celtics series and a Flyers Penguins series all at the same time, rotating nights on the same night. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I think D-Rab hit the nail right on the head with this first point where we can kind of jump in with this Flyers team specifically clinching the 3rd seed in the Metropolitan Division last night with that shootout win. Is this team is flat out fun, man. They're young. You're going through a rebuild. There's a few mix of the older guys in there. Now, Coots is on a level of his own. Coots kind of probably remembers at the beginning of his career was the tail end of like the 2012, 2013, 2014 Flyers that were making playoff pushes, that were in the playoffs. He caught the tail end of that. He's dealt with a lot of losing since then. Travis Konechny and Travis Sanheim only have that COVID year experience. Outside of that, they've dealt with a lot of losing. So you have a mix of those guys who have been here for a little while and you feel awesome about them. But then you also get to the experience of a Matvei Michkov. Porter Martone just took his diaper off 2 days ago, and as a point in every NHL game he's played in, it seems
fucking
like
crazy.
Trevor Zegras, we talked about him acquiring him from Anaheim in the offseason, former cover of NHL, and just the upside of the trade, right? The no risk upside, and the dude has come in and just been a rocket. This team's young. They can score goals. They're physical on the defensive end. And we'll talk about Dan Vladar and the goaltending situation, which is the MVP of this season. But yes, most importantly, this team is just rejuvenated and it's fun. And they've played meaningful hockey for the last 2 months, man.
Yeah.
I believe they are 17-9 or 17-8 over the last 25 or 26 games. They have either the best or one of the best records in the NHL since the Olympics break. So they have experience, which is a good thing as you head into this series against Pittsburgh, where you're ready. You're kind of you've built up over the last month of this game is super important. This game is win or go home type of situation.
Yeah. No, I think you with your last points there, I think you hit the nail on the head, man. This Flyers team's hot. Not only did they lock in a playoff spot and make this tremendous turnaround in the second half of the season, but they're hot going into the postseason. And maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong from the hockey world perspective. If you're hot going into the postseason, I would say you have a very good chance of making some sort of run in the postseason, right? If you get hot at the right time, I assume that applies for hockey as well.
It surely does.
15-7 over the last 2 months, just March and the beginning of April. They've really turned it on. I did want to ask you, man, just looking ahead, obviously, don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but how does it feel matching up with those Pittsburgh Penguins? I know that historically, right, they have that prominence in, whatever, the last 10 or so years, but it doesn't seem like they're that 20, to be fair. And I know my man D-Rab is very familiar with Mr. Crosby and company. But how do we feel going in against a team like that? You already mentioned it. It's the Battle of PA. Obviously rivals within the state, but just looking at that, it doesn't feel like Goliath. Is that fair to say in this situation?
No, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. This is just as the Flyers overachieved in a different way from what I understand, the Penguins as well overachieved. I think these are two teams that are matching up that not only are in the playoffs, not because of a wild card spot, but because of second and third place in the Metro Division. These are two teams that people didn't expect to make the playoffs this year. Yeah. And so when you have that, it's great. It's a good thing for Pittsburgh as well. But I think the Flyers, even though Sidney Crosby kills the Flyers, he does. Listen, I was there for the Giroux shift back in, 2012 in Game 6 when he hit Crosby and then scored like 22 seconds in and we sent them home. That's the only positive I can recall of a Flyers Penguins playoff series since Sidney Crosby has been around and I've been not an adult my entire life. But I think it's a very interesting first round matchup for this young Flyers team because it doesn't matter who you were coming to town, whether it was Boston, whether it was Carolina, whether it was Pittsburgh, you don't want to play that team, right? Like you don't want your first round matchup to be the young, inexperienced team that doesn't know how to lose, that's happy to be here, right? And that's as hot as they are. But not other than that, I think in the draw of the Eastern Conference, I don't think there's another team I'd rather match up with, twisting over my my words here, than Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I got sidetracked a little bit. I was just looking up Crosby's stats against the Flyers on the side here with my little AI friend. Looks like total goals 76, 15 in the playoffs against the Flyers. 181 points in 118 career games.
Yeah.
He's the all-time leading scorer against the Flyers. He came back in 2025. And he dropped 2 goals on the Flyers in December, which I guess when he took the lead in that regard.
It hasn't been fun, but But as far as the teams are concerned, is what I'm saying. The matchup I'll take. Those numbers just frighten me, but
they do.
Gotta try to remember, gotta try to think. I don't know what Sidney Crosby's numbers are like this year. If you haven't pulled up or not, how many points or goals he has this year. But I would like to think this is kind of like Sid's in his LeBron era right now. Like they're like
that's kind of the vibe I was getting as well. 74 points this year though, 29 goals, 45 assists.
Still 29 goals. Still almost a 30 burger. You know what I mean? But I would like to think that he's in that same stage as LeBron. I mean, my God, when you had said the 10 years, I just remember, I want to say his first one came. Oh, my God. They played Detroit.
Yeah. He's been around since I can remember.
Oh, yeah, dude. Like 2000, I think he won his first in. I don't want to say anything crazy. 2005, 2006 is circling in my head. But yeah, and Malkin's been around fucking forever too. Like that's the thing. Like this is kind of like Flyers, Penguins, Malkin, Crosby, kind of like the last hurrah type of situation.
Yeah.
It's just exciting.
But I was looking on the other end just to kind of compare, I guess Flyers best versus Pittsburgh's best, obviously being Crosby at least in the points department, right? But Konechny's 68, Zegras 67. So I mean, 27 goals for Konechny, 26 for
led the
Zegras.
Flyers in goals.
Yeah, 28 goals for Tippett. So yeah, no, I feel you. I did look it up. Looks like Crosby and the Penguins came back to beat the Red Wings in a 7-game series in 2009 to win his first Stanley Cup.
There it is, which is funny, right? Because that's what I was thinking, but then I was kind of recalling, like, Detroit's in the East now.
Damn.
Right, so that you get what I'm saying? Like, so Detroit had that, because I remember it, and I'm like, they were in the West. I'm like, so it's the Detroit Red Wings, were in the Western Conference when Sidney Crosby entered the league, and yeah, that's how fucking long he's been around.
That's insane, man. That's insane, but talk to me about the goalkeeping, though. Talk to me about that. I know that's a big part of this for the Flyers.
It's a big part. It's the biggest part, in my opinion. Yeah. Look, I again, we talked about this on Friday. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm not going to act like I, over this season, 2 years or whatever, 3 years, have watched the Flyers on a nightly basis routinely, like I would the 76ers, the Phillies, like I used to back, when I was in high school and college and shortly after in the COVID year. People will look at that. Oh, bandwagon. Who sits around and watch and just on a nightly basis watches a team that at one point was kind of purposely tanking, right? Like, so I'm not going to act like I've seen every Dan Vladar start this year.
Yeah,
but it's been the biggest difference for this team. It was a talking point even back when the Flyers were ultra competitive and went and made that cup run in 2010. And that run from then on, and you had just a platoon of Brian Boucher and Michael Leighton, and even all the way up to, and then they signed Brizgalov to a shit ton of money, and he was nuts, and it didn't quite work out. And they had Steve Mason against the Capitals. The Flyers have not had stable goaltending for basically my entire probably since Robert Esch was a Flyers goaltender, right? Then Carter Hart came along. And we know that situation that took place.
I wanted to ask something regarding Carter Hart. Was he as good as proclaimed?
It's a fantastic point because, like, I think he showed the flashes, yes. But then again, you're going back, 4 or 5 years now, the last time that he suited up for the Flyers.
Yeah, remember.
Yeah. There were holes-ish. So, but yeah, I think he was. So, but my point is, you had that young glimmer of hope, and then everything that came with it, and that went away. And so you're dealing over the last year or two with a guy that's still on the team in Samuel Ersson, and then you bring in 28-year-old Dan Vladar, who I don't know if he was with Washington before or Calgary before, or maybe both, but he comes in as kind of just this stopgap guy that maybe was supposed to back up Ersson to start the year. I don't know, but they might have to back the Brinks truck up for this dude, especially depending on how he performs when the lights are the brightest in this series and if they win in advance or whatever the hell happens in the next month, because he's been the MVP of this season for Flyers hockey. He's been so steady and so capable. And I had to run out for a minute last night in the middle of the second period, and I was listening to the 97.5 call on the game, and they mentioned a point where obviously the Hurricanes went up 2-0 early, and they mentioned a point where, like, he just had that look in his eye like nothing else is getting past me. And not a lot of dudes in the NHL can do that. Like, he's right up there with it's a bad look for it. Vasilevsky. That's the name I cannot remember, from Tampa Bay. His numbers are one of the best in the league, man. So if you have competent goaltending, above competent goaltending in the NHL, you can compete on a nightly basis. And that's kind of what they've done. They're not, I think I saw a number the other day from gambling perspective that like they're one of the best teams, one of the top 6 teams in terms of the unders in their games this year. So like while the Flyers are youthful and they can score, and that seems like it's been more fun over the last few months, they're not in, 6-5 games. They're not in 7-5 games. They win a lot of last night, 2-2 shootout. They win 3-2. They win 4-3. They win 2-1. They win a lot of those types of games. And why can you do that? Because your goaltender has kept you in on a nightly basis.
No, I think that's a great point, especially when you're talking about going into the postseason and a young team, right? That's going to need that time to kind of mature in the moment. You need good goalkeeping, right, to keep you in games. So I think that's a great point, man. Just looking at this Flyers team. Where's your confidence level? Very early. We got time. We got, the season hasn't even ended yet. They just locked in their playoff spot. Where's your confidence level right now? And maybe not weighing in who you're playing, just thinking about the Flyers going into the postseason, having fun, being youthful with that mix of veteran experience. How are we feeling?
You never want to jump the gun, right? I'm not going to sit here and start pounding the table for a Stanley Cup trophy, right? And I don't know how strong the Western Conference is in terms to the Eastern Conference. The Hurricanes won the Metro. The Bruins are the number 1 overall wild card. Tampa Bay is one of the best teams in the league, and so on. How did the East finish? Let me just check so I'm not fucking this up. Okay, so Buffalo's a 50-win team. Hand up. Would have never told you that. The Sabres were a 50-win team. The Lightning were also a 50-win team. The Canadiens dropped 106 points. I really, really think that they're going to beat the Penguins. Beyond that, I can't tell you anything. Beyond that, I'm not going to sit here and start pounding the drum for them to go on this 2010 Flyers run, a 2022 Phillies run. But I really do think they're going to compete, and I think they're going to beat the Penguins. Now you get into the Bruins or whoever else comes along after that. We'll see how this young Flyers team can match up with one of the big guys. But like I said a couple minutes ago to you, man, they've been playing important, meaningful, kind of do or die-ish hockey for the last month and a half, 2 months. So when you have that experience, like, let's not forget, I know it's a 7-game series and talent is going to shine in a 7-game series, right? For the most part, that's going to win out. But who'd they beat on Easter Sunday in overtime on national television to keep them in this playoff run? The Boston Bruins. Yeah. Now, last night, you don't want to talk about the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes sat, their top 4 or 5 guys. Right?
That Boston Bruins, that was kind of the breakthrough. That was like, they're here. They're making a push. They're making a real push.
The Devils. Look, the Devils are like 6th, 7th, 8th or whatever in the Metro. They're not making the playoffs. The Devils have the same amount of wins as the Flyers. The difference is the Flyers lost a lot more games in overtime or shootouts to stack more points than the Devils. That's not a terrible New Jersey team at the bottom end of that of the Eastern Conference, of the Metro, excuse me.
Yeah.
So when you've been playing back against the wall type of games, style of games for the last 2 months, and you're as hot as they are, and I know this saying, like, I don't know if people get what I mean by this. There's a thing, like, where young teams, they don't know how to lose. Yeah. And what I mean, like, I know that sounds dumb, but what I kind of mean by that is they've never been here. They don't give a fuck who's standing in front of them, right? Like they don't care if the Tampa Bay Lightning come to town. They don't know how to lose.
Yeah.
So, I think they beat the Penguins. And then we can go from there. And then you get into the second round. It's hockey. If they beat the Penguins, that means they've stayed hot.
Yeah.
And we'll fucking see, man. But yeah, this is more of just this is an obvious, hey, we're just happy to be here. But they could end somebody's season. They could have some fun.
Yeah. And I think to your point, and maybe it's a good segue, but I do, to your point, think they have a better chance of making some noise than the Sixers. And I think that
absolutely
tells you enough about where you should be at with the Flyers. And some of it's what we know about some of the Sixers' potential opponents as well. But at the end of the day, this Flyers team is in a – I tried to say how they're, look at them the same, but they are. They're in a different part or different, part of their trajectory. So I think you can go into this with a lot more optimism.
There you go.
Optimism. Oh my God, it's been a long day, brother. Long day at work. Excuse me, everyone. Yes, go into it with a lot more optimism. My brain was having a malfunction. I'm excited, man. But just to kind of pivot on that point, have you checked? I know we talked about it a little bit, but the ticket prices between the Sixers play-in and the Flyers.
Right. Now, one's a play-in, to your point. It's not the playoff series yet if they are to get there. But, yeah, Sixers prices at home, throwback court, 2001 unis going on, $18, $20 on resale. I mean, I went on Ticketmaster before the show, and I think it's without fees. I think fees are going to come in after. Flyers prices on Ticketmaster for game one at what would be game 3, the first home game, start at $320. Now that there's a few things to go into that, right? There's just the excitement, this team hasn't been back for a while. The Sixers have, but the seriousness of how these two teams might be getting taken are probably playing a factor.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do think that is a big part of it. Obviously, the Orlando Magic,
for sure, down to the play-in. Hey, it's playoff basketball. It's a chance to secure a playoff spot. And for $20, maybe less. Yeah, I don't blame you.
And it should be a good game, honestly. I think the Magic and the Sixers, it's a good matchup, even without Embiid. I think the Sixers with Embiid are better than the Magic.
Let's get into that, man. How are you feeling? Just this game, right? I think over the course of this Flyers conversation, I think that's just how I want to treat the next week, the next day, because they have to win and to even get in, and then if they lose, they get one more opportunity at it. But I just want to treat, if they do make the playoffs, just differently. I'm not trying to take it easy on the organization. Once the season's over, let's say they get swept by Boston or they lose in a gentleman's sweep. Once it's over, then we can strip it all down and we can berate Nick Nurse and we can want to fire Daryl Morey and we can talk about Joel's future and all that. But for the next couple days, for the next week or so, I just want to take it night by night. How are we feeling? Can they go win a basketball game and go from there? How are we feeling? You mentioned it should be a good game. I think it's going to be a great game. It's a playing game, but I think the spread, I think we're a point and a half favorites, essentially a pick 'em in Philly tomorrow night. Magic, Nick Nurse talked about it. Fully healthy or as close to fully healthy as they've been all season. You mentioned Paolo. You got Franz Wagner over there. They traded for Desmond Bane in the offseason. Jalen Suggs. How do you feel about the matchup minus Joel, dude?
It's a good matchup. How do I feel about it? I would say I'm fairly confident in it. I think being at home, I think that definitely helps. I think the makeup of the Magic team helps as well. And it's funny because they're probably the complete opposite of a team like Boston, right? And maybe more built like a Detroit team in a sense, right? And, I'll just say that first, ideally, I would rather the Sixers get the 8 seed if it if it could work out without the pressure of like a single elimination game.
Right.
I would love the Sixers to play Detroit instead of Boston. At the end of the day, I will take the win tomorrow to secure my playoff spot. Give them more time to rest before that matchup with Boston. Let's just see how it goes. I think the Sixers match up pretty well with this Orlando team. I think the one outlier is Paolo Banchero, but I think you can get away with double teaming him in a sense, a little light doubles, because of the lack of shooting. And I think that is the one caveat that could send the Sixers into a single elimination game.
Yeah.
It's not even that. It's not even Paolo. It's if guys are hitting 3-point shots for the Magic, and they're not a great 3-point shooting team. Okay. It's just if they're hot that night, because then that opens up the floor for Paolo. You can't double on him as much. You can't leave open shooters, right? If you got guys like Jalen Suggs hitting, 3.
And I don't know if his numbers have changed, but I believe I texted you about him a month and a half ago. I had a bet on some Magic's first quarter game. Didn't know. Jalen Suggs away from home on the road this year. Jalen Suggs shoots like sub 30% from 3. Desmond Bane was obviously brought in to try to relieve some of that. I don't know. Yeah. I don't have his numbers pulled up next to me. I don't know what Bane.
He's their best shooter. He's their best 3-point shooter.
I figured so, but Paolo is sub 30%, I believe, from beyond. He's not going to pull up from beyond.
You are winning the matchup if he's shooting a 3. That's the best way to look at it.
Yeah, it's a great point. I think because again, we've tossed around the idea of pregame tomorrow, so I don't want to go too in depth. We can, because we might get a different crowd at that point of the night. But the early look, right? If you just want to talk Sixers, I want to win. I want to get in the playoffs. Fuck the drama. Fuck being negative. Yeah. How they win this game, I think you just talked about it, but like in reverse. Threes are more than twos, and with the size that Orlando is going to provide, those big, when you talk about their point guard is a point forward. He's 9, 10, whatever Paolo is. Yeah. Bane's not big, but Bane's strong, muscular. Yeah. The Wagner brother, they're a big team, big wings. Yeah. That provides problems, but they don't shoot well from deep. They're the road team tomorrow. They're going to try to beat up the Sixers. Threes are more than twos, Scotty. Yeah. I would let it fucking fly tomorrow.
Yeah, I do agree,
I would let it fly. Maxey, PG, Grimes, I would let it fly, and that's how you get out in transition. There's no big fella that you got to try to circle the offensive round and slow things down for. Now, obviously, that negates a lot of what we want to do, because you're damn sure if you're one of those people that think, oh, well, they look better without him. They're not better without him. Can we stop that fucking nonsense? All I'm saying for this game in particular, with the way that I think Orlando kind of wants to play it, I'd get out and run, and I'd shoot from deep a lot.
Yeah, and I think something else, and like you said, we'll do a pregame tomorrow, so we don't need to get too deep, but just attacking Paolo, make him work defensively, get him in foul trouble, attacking Franz Wagner, right? I think PG is going to be a big part of that. PG, we can talk about it tomorrow, right? We don't have to get so far into it, but I do think PG. I'm going back and forth, and I'm not going to say X factor, because these guys are the two stars of the team. It's Maxey and PG. Who do you think's more important in just this matchup? It's tough, right?
It is, and let me tell you why. Because I immediately wanted to answer back Paul George, because he's more of, I guess we would call it the unknown. Even though I do say Paul George has been better than Maxey over the last 5 games, 6 games or something. But what I'm trying to say is, like, take the course of the season, it's been Maxey's team, not Paul George's team. So take that out of it. I immediately wanted to go with Paul George because of the size and a body to throw at the wings, whether it's on Paolo, on ball defense, whether it's on Wagner, whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
But I hesitated because what can Maxey provide as a difference maker tomorrow? Because he's undersized, so how does that affect him defensively? Sure. But what can his speed do to the Magic on offense tomorrow?
Yeah.
Where do you lean with that? I don't know which way to go.
I agree with your logic, man. I think, you think Paul George at first, and I think defensively, Paul George is going to be really important. He's probably going to guard Franz Wagner, and so that goes both ways. Like one could get one in foul trouble, the other could get the other in foul trouble.
Yeah.
Like that goes both ways. I think Maxey is the answer, man, because when he is rolling, when he is elite, you don't need Paul George to be, 25 points on a given night. You just need Paul George to give you 17, 18, couple rebounds, couple assists. Same thing with VJ. When you have Maxey rolling on a given night, that's 35 points. Like you can go out there and drop 35.
Right. And that's not to say you want to bank on that. And that's, they need that to win type of situation.
His feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like since Embiid returned and was dominant in his return, since Paul George's return from suspension and has shot the ball the way he has, and Maxey's slight regression at the end of the year, just overall points-wise, right? 21, 24, stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's gotten
he was
lost.
at 30-plus points, and he dropped down to 26. I mean, it happened.
Right, but that's it's gotten lost that, man, he was giving people 42, 38, 39, 33 every single fucking night. So, it sounds not sad, but it sounds a little much to say, hey, Tyrese, you want to go get us 35 tomorrow? However, it's something he was doing almost on a nightly basis for the first 4 months of the season.
Exactly. And I think something else that bodes well towards Maxey having a great game tomorrow, and I would say moving forward, that third quarter against the Milwaukee Bucks on Sunday, man, where he scored, 16 points of his 21, I think, in that third quarter to pull away. That's big. That's huge because there was a little bit of slump shoulder Maxey going on, especially during that stretch against Houston and San Antonio. He was having a little bit of trouble turning the ball over. That's a different animal when you talk about defense, though. When you're talking about the length of Houston, the length of San Antonio, the effort that those guys put in, that's a different animal than the Orlando Magic, who are also very good defensively. I'm not trying to take anything away from them. I think Houston and San Antonio are on another level as far as what they can do to a guy like Maxey specifically. So I think Maxey, go out there and play with freedom tomorrow.
Well,
man.
And I'm thinking, because I saw a tweet before the stream started about, and no one knows if it's true. I think Philly RB kind of quote tweeted it and said, if this is true, Sixers stock just went up at least a little bit tomorrow night. That there's some internal locker room issues going on in Orlando, because when you're talking about defending a Tyrese Maxey, taking him out of the game, the Heat and Eric Spoelstra in previous years would give Tyrese Maxey fits. That also comes down to coaching and game planning and schemes. And if there's basically the turmoil is this player will demand a trade. They didn't name who. If whoever the Magic's head coach is not fired after the season. So I don't know that you got the coach or the unit tomorrow night that is putting together a game plan to eliminate number 0. That's what I'm hinting at here.
Yeah, no, I think that is a fair point. I'm just double checking on the coach. I can see his face. Jamal Mosley. Yeah, I could see his face. I couldn't think of the name. But he's been beefing with Paolo basically all season. I mean, Paolo has spoke out publicly to media regarding, his disputes behind the scenes with Jamal Mosley. So I would imagine it's Paolo, and I would imagine they're going to pick Paolo over Jamal Mosley. But no, I think that's a great point, because that's definitely been going on all season. And you talk about disappointment when it comes to expectations. This was supposed to be the year Orlando kind of breaks through into that next echelon of Eastern Conference team. And they have not done that, even with adding Desmond Bane. So,
especially, look, I know this is just as much of a knock on us as it is for them, and they've been injured as well. Like, I'm not trying to sit here and talk about our injuries and ignore the Wagner injuries and everything that they had this year, but in this year's Eastern Conference, the Magic took a step back.
Yeah.
A year they acquired Desmond Bane, a year, like you mentioned, they had elevated expectations, and the Raptors are a 5 seed. So it's a winnable game tomorrow.
Yeah.
Then we go from
Let me
there.
ask you this: Does this? I'm trying to think of the right way to answer to ask this. Would you rather play one of the other Eastern Conference playing teams than the Orlando Magic if you got to play them first?
It's a good question.
Because I'll answer first. I don't think I would want to play the Heat and Eric Spoelstra just in a single elimination game. I don't think I would love that.
Right. We had to beat them 2 years ago in a play-in.
We just lost to them recently.
That was with Joel Embiid and James Harden.
Right. And then on the Hornets side, that's the one where the only reason I say the Hornets is they could just be hot. LaMelo can hit 8 threes in a game in single elimination. Khan can hit 5, and then Brandon Miller's going off for 20 and 10. And then all of a sudden you're losing to the fucking Hornets. Whereas I just don't see any guy, man, knock on fucking wood. On the Magic, knock on wood. I'm not going to say it, but
Jalen Suggs 5 threes tomorrow. Count it now.
Yeah, Jalen Suggs specifically. You know it, brother.
Pumper said, I'd rather lose now. Listen, man, I don't know the time. Joel, our mindset is like this whole postseason is just minus Joel Embiid. Like there's just, you're not getting 7 foot, 285 pound Joel Embiid coming back from appendicitis and having his appendix removed.
Yeah.
You're just not. Like, I don't care if it's just a 2.5 week recovery. His body ain't recovering the same. He's not just a person that has to go sit at a desk following rest of appendicitis. He's got to go get shoulders and elbows and bodies thrown into his side. He's got to get up and block shots and defend. He's got to raise up and shoot a basketball or dunk a basketball. The dude just ain't coming back. Just for my money. He ain't coming back in 2 weeks.
It's not worth getting your.
They're not going to be around still then, I would imagine. And so that's not why I would say you rather lose now. I don't think it has anything to do with Joel returning and you don't want to watch Joel, well, for your reasons. But I just think at this point, as just trying to be a fan, is like they're not in a position to be. They're not a lottery team, right? You're a play-in team. You're the 7 seed right now. Why would I rather what's the I'd rather lose now than get my hopes. So who cares? Like, no.
And you know something else I'll say, man, like for this team to make the fucking playoffs, like with the injuries, I know that it sounds like excuses. I'm even going to throw out there, they're going against their fucking head coach and their fucking GM as well. The GM is trading away players that can contribute to an injured roster at the trade deadline, not bringing in players that can contribute while these players are injured in return. And then on the head coaching side, we discussed some of the Nick Nurse stuff and some of the rotations and different things.
Let's go against ownership as well. Ownership that clearly wants to duck attacks that the GM is ducking for you. Owners that got their hands in all different cookie jars. And it would be one thing like if Josh Harris and company, like if he just had his hand in multiple other businesses, because how the fuck do you think these guys become millionaires and billionaires, right? They got a lot of other ventures. The issue, my beef with Josh Harris is the dude's a part of like 3 other sports teams. Now, not obviously the conflict, he's not in all their basketball, but like there's his hands just in so many different similar cookie jars. He don't give a fuck about winning.
About any individual. Yeah, exactly.
No.
Exactly. And look, man, Joel Embiid played 38 games. Pumper, the Joel Embiid side, entertain yourself with it, brother. Like, I'm not arguing about that shit today. It doesn't matter. He's not going to play in the playoffs. It does not matter. So that negative talking point is irrelevant. Like, we're not going into the postseason or playing with expectations to win anything. Just make the playoffs and let's have some fun. But Joel Embiid, 38 games played this season. Paul George, 37 games played this season. Maxey and VJ, 70 games played for Maxey, 75 for VJ. They carried the fucking team this year to a playoff spot. Maybe it's because the East is weak, whatever you want to call it. You could argue. I just hearing Maxey talk about it after the Bucks game and what they had to fight through, the different guys on and off the court, different things that they had to play through this season. you could argue that they shouldn't even be close to making the playoffs right now with some of the injuries and some of the stuff that's taken. Like, not only is it Joel off the court, but it also knocks you down mentally as well. Like, losing Joel, like, I know they've tried to work through that and like get used to
it. But it's the same, right? Brother, think about it. Think about how we feel and the frustration and disappointment we feel when he's in and out of the lineup. Now, imagine being someone that is relying on him, a teammate, a coach, someone that like that same belief, right? You're seeing him in practice every day and how he looks, and he comes back from missing a month and drops 36 in his debut. Like, he hasn't missed a beat. You're like, oh, fuck, the big fella's back.
Yeah.
And then he's back out, and then he's back in, and then he's back out. That's just a lot, dude, to fucking deal with. There's no camaraderie. There's no cohesiveness with these units. But Drummond said the other night, and whether Drummond gets a lot of minutes tomorrow, maybe he starts over Bone. I don't know what Nick Nurse's plan is. But he said, who the fuck wants to go home? We don't want to go home. So
it'll be interesting.
I don't have anything else. I have no other feelings about it. I will say I'm going into it just from a night-to-night perspective of being 36. You're just
angry, miserable. He dropped 34 against the Spurs on April 6th on 8 for 19 shooting.
Which isn't even like, it's not a good shooting night, but
it's against the Spurs, right?
Right.
42% from the field, sure. I mean, but it just speaks to the point.
I had to address them because I need some fun in my life, so I'll address them real quick. The game I was alluding to was the Bulls game, in which he dropped 35 pumper, and he was 12 for 17.
Yeah. And
so you're 36 on 35 type shots. Like that, like just again, I don't know. I don't know what you do, man.
I'm just looking through like his game log, bro. He hasn't shot like, I get you're like over exaggerating, but like 35 shots, like he has not taken that in any game this season, man. Like it's just blasphemous. No. It's just How do you feel about VJ, Pumper? I'm curious.
Still doesn't like him. Still don't like him.
One thing I will say just to lead into tomorrow and our pregame show tomorrow for this play-in tournament game. I'm excited to see Paul George. I'm excited to see what Paul George looks like.
Pumper's not. Paul George stinks. VJ stinks. And B doesn't play fun basketball.
God, that sounds like a miserable. I guess you can look at things this way. You can. You can look at it that way if you want.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to try to sit here and defend the Philadelphia 76ers like they haven't done everything the correct way.
It must suck waking up every day and thinking all of my favorite sports team superstars fucking suck. Jalen Hurts stinks. Bryce Harper stinks. Embiid stinks. Maxey stinks. Who on the Flyers stinks? Who on the Flyers stinks, Bump? I'm curious. Are you hating on the Flyers for making the playoffs? I'm curious there.
I don't know if he can name a Flyer. We'll see. But we had to get to our Brian Pumper segment of the day because
Pumper segment. It's been a while.
Tocchet stinks. He ruined Mitch Cobb. They made the playoffs, Pumper. They made the playoffs. They haven't made the playoffs. They haven't made the playoffs outside of a COVID year in almost a decade. His first year with the organization, a year in which they are vocally telling everyone, whether Danny Briere is saying it now, or, we proved everyone wrong, the belief in the locker room since day one. No. You were in a rebuild, brother. You were in a 3-year, 4-year rebuild, stripping it down to its bones, and they made the playoffs. But, hey, the head coach stinks. And he ruined Mitch Cobb. Scotty, you said it earlier. Has Mitch Cobb had a down year compared to what people were hoping for? Yes. Sure. But he had – what was he on the team with points? Third?
Top 5 on the team in points.
Top 5 on the team with points?
I would have to look it up again to get specifics. But
other than just don't watch. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I've never seen. I really. Oh my god, man! I would love for you to just come on so I can see like who you are, what you look like, how fucking old you are. I'm assuming you're an adult. You have to be an adult, but like
The consistency, it's an adult.
I've never seen someone so miserable. And if
So
you're just trolling because oh, Dylan starts to yell or Scotty starts to pull his hair and yell, the dedication you have to come on a YouTube channel to do this is, I'll tip my cap to you, I guess. But like,
dragging
I'd
us
rather
in
like the Sixers are in are in a playing game. I'd rather lose so I don't have to watch Joel Embiid come back. Possibly the Flyers make the playoffs for the first time and overachieve. Yeah, great consolation prize.
Does hey, Pump, do you like Jalen Hurts' new mustache?
No, he fucking hates everything about him.
Hey,
and you know what the best
Brown
part is,
still
man?
illegal?
Because like, let me just pull this up so people can see if they have no idea what we're talking about right now if they're watching on YouTube. Because there's probably 30 plus people watching right now going, "What the fuck are these guys yelling at?" This. That's who I'm yelling at. Hey, Pump. Howie Roseman said that AJ Brown's an Eagle. Any thoughts on that comment today? Diana Rossini, Scott, did you see that?
We didn't even talk about that.
Well, did you see she gave in her letter of resignation to the Athletic?
Oh, she did, huh?
Yeah. I didn't read all the Twitter posts, but I think the point of it was that she won't pour any more she won't give any more oxygen to the fire. Like she said, like, you guys aren't right, but I'm not putting any more oxygen on the fire. Why are you resigning then?
Right. You give up your job.
You're just giving up your dream job because you people just don't shut up. And what the fuck are you talking about?
I did not see that. I did not see the resignation. I did not see that. But that is.
What do you think about all that, man?
That's funny. It's like so obvious, right? Like it's like like I could have guessed something like that. Like, but I'm just not that vulgar, I guess. Like to think Vrabel's like hitting Diana Rossini, so that's why she's pumping out these AJ Brown rumors and shit. Like I'm not that vulgar to think of it, I guess, but I was not surprised to see those pictures, to say the least. And she can say whatever she wants, but motherfucker, like if my wife is out flirting with a motherfucker on a vacation trip like that, we're getting
cheating. Yeah, like let's stop all that shit, right? And I know people are just having fun with it. First of all, I think whoever took these pictures, like someone had to have had them followed, because if I am correct on the statement, they were like at a hotel or somewhere 2 hours outside of Scottsdale, Arizona. Like they went to like nowhere to like hide and like get away. And this person got them basically. Like they weren't out in the public eye being bold. Like, oh, we're just friends. We're not doing it. Well, why are you going 2 hours outside of Scottsdale? You know what I mean? So
like, what are they, in the middle of the fucking desert?
Yeah. And so like, look, whether you're married, they're both married, obviously, both have families. Look, do whatever you want. That's like, no one's talking about that. But like when just all these links and it goes back like before he even took the job in New England last year, there was, it's just funny. Like it really is just fucking funny.
June 1st will be a day of like reckoning regardless. Like
for sure.
Whichever way it goes, it's going to be a day of reckoning.
Let me ask you this, man. Like if you're Howie and like there's all these articles coming out. There's all these rumors coming out about the AJ Brown thing, and he's been asked so many questions. And today in his comment, he said, do you think my answer is going to change like by 50%, by 75%? Like if you're Howie and you like in the back of your mind, after fielding all these questions for months, in the back of your mind, you're like, where the fuck does this keep coming from? Like this isn't actually happening behind closed doors. And then those photos drop and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. I think it is. Yeah, I think that is what happened, man. Like, because that is exactly how I felt. Like the entire time that she's been just spewing this shit out, and then it gets, like tracked on to other like reporters and shit, and they try to act like they can't tell us their source or whatever the case may be, and it's just. I think it's when you see is it D Gunn? He came out maybe a month or two ago and was like, look, like Eagles always gonna do their due diligence. They're not looking to move AJ Brown. It's not a coincidence, is the way I would put it. It is not a coincidence that that Diana Rossini was caught with the Patriots head coach as she, continues to leak out AJ Brown rumors. It was comical, but once again,
it's pretty good though, the way she would like play dumb too, because like Philly fans like hate her, and then she would go on like PMT and stuff on Barstool. She'd be like, I don't like, hey guys, I'm just reporting. I don't have anything. Like I don't hate Philly. Man,
her fucking husband is an Eagles fan too, man. That's
disgusting work too.
Yeah, that's
she's probably going home every night too, being like, "Hun, this is what I'm hearing," and he's like, "Oh no, my favorite team, one of my favorite players." Meanwhile, your wife's banging the head coach of the Patriots behind your back. Nah, I'm being too mean. I don't know. None of us know what's going on.
Hopefully
Nobody
not.
knows. They're just holding hands and at a pool just by themselves, 2 hours outside of Scottsdale, Arizona. But nobody knows. Don't worry.
Some of the videos of her talking about her husband in the past as well. Those are a little wild as well. But who are we to judge, I suppose?
I'll judge. I really don't care. I mean, who the fuck am I to Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. I'm just trying to be nice still. I'm judging the fuck out of
him. Speaking of judging, man, before we wrap up.
Oh, I was just going to mention Dontavian Wick. I like that.
Dude, we haven't talked about that. We haven't talked about Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Hollywood.
Stacking up in the receiving room, man. And I'll say this. Let's just call what it is. Howie said AJ Brown's an Eagle. I believe in Howie. I trust Howie. I do not want my wide receiver one going anywhere. I don't think just because you bring in two average to above average receivers with Smitty means you made up for trading AJ soon. I'm not in that mindset at all. I will say, if this is adding on to the receiving room with AJ and Smitty, and you have AJ, Smitty, Hollywood Brown, Dontavian Wicks.
Yeah.
It has me intrigued for the Mannion-Grizzard duo. Yeah. Because Howie's not just making these moves for no reason in March and April. There's a plan, you know what I mean? So, because Scott, we couldn't use our wide receiver 3 for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
You've added 2 very capable, more than capable wide receiver 3s.
Yeah. And
you'd have to imagine that these offensive minds have said, "Hey, this is what we can do. This is what I can do. This is what I'm looking to do." Yeah. And Howie's loading up the chamber for it.
I do think so, man. I just look at the Bucs team of, the last 2 years, you could say, and the Packers team from last year. They spread the ball out. They get 3-4 different receiving options involved. And then that's not even including the tight end, right? When they were using Tucker Kraft and Kate Otten in Tampa Bay. They were both heavily used last year. I also saw a little rumor about Zach Ertz potentially as well, which I know I'm not expecting him to come in and add, something that we don't have, but
I mean, we don't have a pass catching tight end too.
He's 11 catches away from Eagles all-time receiving record as well.
That would be pretty. That would be really cool to have him.
I love that guy. So,
yeah.
Just wanted to throw that in, but I think it is. I think to your point, it is interesting just thinking about where those two coaches came from.
That's a fun little conversation, man. Because we've been doing some of the Keep 3 Cut 5s, which, by the way, over the next week or two, more will be thrown out there. We just recorded 6 new ones last week. Yeah. So we'll be getting those thrown out as well on the YouTube channel, guys. But, where does Zach Ertz rank all-time Eagle for you?
He's won a Super Bowl. He scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
I mean,
All-time single season
albeit the
receiver record.
Right, albeit the tight end position and not wide receiver, he was the pillar. He was the staple for how long here? 6 years?
Like,
so like, am I overreacting? Like,
yeah, I would say 5,
like four
years.
Like, maybe I'm being maybe I'm
with,
overreacting to the time between Macklin and Djax leaving and like Alshon Jeffrey signing with the Eagles. Maybe that was only a 2-year period or whatever, but
like Alshon, and maybe I'm remembering it incorrectly because Alshon was super talented. I'm not saying that. He was full of big moments, but was he a wide receiver one? Was he a number
I think
one?
I think the Super Bowl year he was. Like, I think the first year that we signed him from Chicago and that run, I do think he was. And then I think after that, I think
that record the year after we won the Super Bowl, I believe.
Was it?
The receptions record for single season, I think it was the year after.
I think you are correct. I think you're right.
I'm just looking up Alshon.
I think there was a game against the Texans that got us into the playoffs or kept us in the playoff picture. Carson was re-injured by this point. He was like the second to last week, and Foles led a game-winning drive, and I think Ertz's like receptions had something to do with it in that same season. Like the 2018 season, 2019.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. And just looking up Alshon, it looks like the most receiving yards he had was in 2018 with 843. 2017, he had 789 with 9 touchdowns. So he was a touchdown machine.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point. Like, he never came here and had 1,000 or anything like that. He wasn't AJ. And I guess you could argue he wasn't even like Smitty, right? Like, Smitty's come here and just been 1,000 for the most part. It was just, he was the biggest name pass catcher that had walked in the room in what? 5 years at that point? 4 years at that point?
Yeah.
Like once Macklin and Jackson were gone.
Because we drafted Macklin, drafted Jackson.
Right.
Acquiring a big name wide receiver, that was definitely the bigger name.
But even when they departed, though, by the time they departed, we had 2 years of like Jordan Matthews as wide receiver one or something like. Yeah, so like,
was that at that
there
time?
were unpleasant times.
There
were unpleasant times before Alshon Jeffrey walked through the door. That's all.
We had not Greg Lewis, not fucking Greg
Ward?
Lewis. Greg Ward. Yeah, we had Greg Ward, like wide receiver 2 seasons. You know what I mean? And that speaks to something. But Zach Ertz,
it's bad, dude. It's bad.
Zach Ertz from 2015 to 2019, he eclipsed at least over 800 receiving yards with 1,000-yard season mixed in there, a 900-yard season, 853. 2014, he had 702 yards. So you could argue 2014 through 2019, Zach Ertz was somewhat running shit in the receiving corps for
at the tight end position. Yes. Yeah. So all time, it'll be a fun one to include in like all time Eagles, right? Because I think when you start talking like a key 3 cut 5, people's minds are going to go to, oh well, am I going to get Dawkins? Am I going to get Reggie White? Am I going to get Lane? Am I or Kelsey and stuff like that? And it's like, at what point do you say like no, like Zach Ertz is a bona fide keep? Like
Well, that's what I was sitting here thinking. I don't think you can put him over Lane because Lane's got 2 rings now, and Lane, obviously, we know.
And Lane's the best that it was the best of this. I don't want to say it. I think there's an argument now with the injuries and the age where like Penei Sewell might be the best tackle, but
it's a conversation,
right? But for a long time, Lane Johnson is the best right tackle in all football.
Yeah, for majority of the time he's played for us, for sure. I was going to say Jason Kelsey, and no shade at all. I'm not trying to undersell Jason Kelsey. It's more to speak what Zach Ertz did do. Jason Kelsey just has that personality, that leadership that maybe Zach Ertz didn't have. He was a little bit more
Yeah, and you had this speech that really put him on the map the year of the Super Bowl, and then obviously everything he's done since. The dude's a legend, but I think to your point, like I think there would be a lot of people that would be like, "Oh no, Jason Kelce, Lane Johnson," and that's just not the case. Like,
right? Yeah, I think it's Lane Johnson all the way.
Yeah, no, like Jason Kelce was fucking amazing, and the center position's a more difficult one to judge. It doesn't have as many big names, and maybe at one point in 2018, 20 somewhere, Jason was the best, and maybe he was the best center for multiple years. I'm having a hard time remembering all centers of his time, but like Kelce. Lane was the best. Lane Johnson is certifiably the best at his position for almost a decade.
Yeah.
And you add in 2 Super Bowl rings to go along with it. Yeah, he's an all-time Eagle. Like, just it's not a fucking question.
Where does BG fit in all of that with his 2 rings? And I know he's not top of his, you know what I mean, his position.
Yeah. But. BG is another one that's more of a fan favorite. The personality shines.
Yeah.
The trash talking that's now like coming like recorded and he's mic'd up and that all makes it funnier.
Whole career on the Eagles, like that.
Obviously, has the humongous moment to get us our first Super Bowl championship with the strip sack. That goes down in fucking infamy. But no, like with all due respect, like if he was on like a keep 3, cut 5, it's the most respectful cut. Like he was never.
It's like, how do you weigh in the rings, right? Like you're not taking BG.
Yeah. Well, because I can name, I mean, how many people could I tell you has 2 rings then? You know what I mean? Like how many?
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair.
So
I think I would take Zach Ertz even over him.
Yeah.
But
I mean, there wasn't a year that Brandon Graham was like a top 10 pass rusher. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful.
We need to do that keep 3, cut 5, though, for sure. We need to do that and have fun with it. We could probably do it a couple different times, too.
Absolutely. That's the fun thing about it is like all-time Eagles, but you can mix in a like just over and over again to where it's a different list. But before we wrap up, man, the Titans, 8-8 now in the year. Offense exploded last night. They've been weird since the last time we talked about them. Obviously, the last time we talked about them was coming off of that Giants series loss on the West Coast. They hadn't scored a run in 22 innings. You know how they responded to that, Scotty, on Friday night? They responded by scoring 4 runs in the first inning against the Arizona Diamondbacks and got the bank rocking. They only followed that up by not scoring another run the rest of the game. And Jesus Luzardo was left in, I believe, the top of the 5th or the 6th. I want to say the 5th. I don't have it pulled up. Where he gave up 5 runs. I'm a Rob Thompson guy. I don't know how you leave your starter out there to give up 5 runs in an inning in a game you were winning 4-0 halfway through. Yeah. Terrible look. So they lost 3 in a row at that point. They respond with a win, 4-3 over the Diamondbacks on Saturday afternoon. They can go for the series win against the Diamondbacks. Well, the bats and the runners in scoring position issues come up again. They lose 4-3 in that one. I believe they had 1st and 3rd or 1st and 2nd or 2nd and 3rd. They had a combination of 2 runners on and nobody out late in that game and didn't score a run. They then had, at another point, had Crawford tripled on Friday night. But so in the loss on Friday night, Crawford tripled in the 9th inning with an out or 2. Couldn't get him in. I say all that to say this. They then exploded on Javier Assad and the Chicago Cubs last night with 13 runs.
That makes sense.
Which they tend to do throughout the year. So the offense, I'm having a very difficult time slamming and appreciating right now because you scored 13 runs in a game. And all I'm saying is it felt like they're knocking on the door, right? The 4-run inning, then they go cold, and then they score 3, and then they score, or 4 again, then they score 3. And it's like they're knocking on the door. They just can't follow through. And last night they do it. This is the game. This is the moment where you have to capitalize and you have to start to build off of this. We said that after the loss to the Giants where the schedule's tightening and you have to continue to build off of that performance last night. Alec Boehm benched tonight, not starting at third base. I think he has moved in like the last 6 or 7 games.
Quite a bit.
That is a positive for me. But
Yeah.
Schwarber, 2 home runs last night. I think he's got 6 on the year. Bryce has a 7-game hit streak or 8-game hit streak, I believe. He's been much, much better since we last spoke about them at the plate. It's just figuring out where people need to line up in this lineup. And I want to give Topper time, but that's something it feels like he's just not going to have. And it's tough with new pieces technically, or guys not stepping up when you've been asking so long for them to step up. But I mean, this is just another night tonight, man, where there's a new cleanup hitter and there's a new, like, I think the lineup already got posted. Let me find it before I say something incorrect.
Yeah,
before we
I have it here actually.
So Turner, Schwarber, Harper, Adolis 4, which I think he was a couple games ago or 2 last night or whatever. Marsh 5, Real Muto 6, Stott 7, Sosa 8, Crawford 9. So the top 3 are staying the same as they have all year. When Crawford plays, he's hitting the 9-hole. I respect that. But tell me that there hasn't been pivoting and flip-flopping of this lineup 4 through 8 every night. JT starts the year hitting 8. He's hitting 6 now. Marsh has hit anywhere from 4, 5, 6, 8, or 7, excuse me. Dolis Garcia has hit 4, 5, 6, 7. I know the guys have to take responsibility. I know they have to take grasp of their opportunities, and someone has to show you they're worthy of that spot. Yeah. But you can't keep flip-flopping every other game, dude.
They just had Marsh in the 4th spot just on Sunday, to your point. So
right, and it's like
the last 2 nights.
And I get it, right? Like, Garcia hasn't lit up the world. His power, his OPS isn't huge to start. Boehm has 1 hit in 6 games as a 4-hitter. Stott hasn't had a great start to the year. So it's like, who is taking grasp of the opportunity? Nobody. But who? I don't want to say who's given the time, but like, Topper, man, you give Boehm so much time at the 4 spot. But then, like, Marsh hits 4th. I think he hit a home run. I think he hit a 3-run home run hitting 4th. And then the next game, he's not hitting 4th. You can't, dude. There has to be some stability in knowing what your job description is, knowing who's protecting you, know who you're protecting on a nightly basis. And they don't have that.
Yeah. And they need to find it, man, because as you know, as we discussed in the last show, the schedule, it's not that it's getting tight or like that things are getting tougher or whatever, right? It's 162 games in a season, but you don't want to fall behind. They're 8-8. They're at 500 right now. They have complete control of how they can look like at the end of this month. I'm just thinking about 6 games against Atlanta to finish this month out. And I'm not trying to get too far ahead of myself, but you look in division, who are you competing with? You're competing with your division comrades, right? And Atlanta, they're 10-7 right now. Phillies are 8-8. You could very well come out of those 6 games and have control of the division. You could. It's within their grasp to do that,
absolutely,
right? And that's the type of thing that we ask for to just get us going. Win this series against the Cubs. You just got to win 1 more game out of the next 2 to win this series against the Cubs. And then we move on to Atlanta, which we know how important those games will be come the end of the season. So I'm not concerned, but it could get concerning.
Yes.
If that makes sense. And I don't mean to make it all sound negative, because like you said, they just opened up last night against the Cubs. Like, they just scored 13 runs. And if they go out and score, I'm not going to say 13, but they go out and score 5-6 runs tonight against the Cubs and get a win, things are going to start feeling a lot better. So we do have the ability to change it here. Because like you said, I don't think we're in the same boat as like all Phillies fans right now, right? Some Phillies fans are operating with a much shorter leash for this Phillies team. So, yeah.
Let's and just to those to wrap this up, man, to the ones that are, I have no more. I have no more breath to give, no more oxygen to give you. There's nothing I'm going to say that's going to change your mind. There's nothing you're going to say that's going to change my mind. We're going to keep running in circles. I get it. That's why I'm not going to keep arguing with you, because I'm not pounding the table, saying you're an idiot. What do you? No, I get the frustrations. I get we've seen the similar issues as we've seen getting us knocked out of the postseason and ending our seasons. I understand that. But I continue to say, and now like with the Flyers and the Sixers in the playoffs, man, and I get it. No, Joel, the Flyers are just glad to be here. If you are going to operate on this, like, just overall negative mindset, and that, I'd rather get sent home or this, it doesn't matter if they score 13 because they're going to do this, then don't be a fan.
Yeah.
Like, life must brutally suck to be that miserable that, like, you're a Phillies fan, but nothing they do for the rest of the regular season matters to you. Then don't watch. Like, I don't know what to tell you besides don't watch. Guess what, man? They come out tonight against Riley Martin of the Cubs and score 2 runs and leave 9 guys on base in scoring position, and Nola gets shelled and they lose again, and now tomorrow they're fighting for the series. Guess what I'm going to do tomorrow with you, Scotty? Rip them, because they deserve to be ripped. But then when they play well, they also deserve to be talked about like they're playing well. That's all.
Yeah.
So, yeah. With that said, guys, that is going to wrap up this Tuesday edition. We'll be live tomorrow night right here on the same channels, the Twitter page and the DSM Philly YouTube channel. But for pre-game live, Sixers Magic play-in for the 7th seed for a chance to take on the Boston Celtics in the NBA playoffs. And then we'll be back on Friday afternoon talking about whether or not the Sixers are the 7th seed, whether they're fighting for their lives for the 8th seed, and getting ready, because at that point, the schedule will be out for the Flyers Penguins first round. We'll be breaking that down as best we can, talking more Phillies, any more Eagles news and drama that comes about. So we'll have some fun with it with you guys as we continue to grow the channel. Make sure to follow and subscribe. Peace out, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Go fight.